from all that ice melting, and the tide getting higher and higher. At a certain point, it breached, and created the San Francisco Bay and created the Bolinas Lagoon. And as that flooding came in further, and and I know, Christina, you probably know about this a lot. Do you want me to go? I'm happy to talk about it.
I can.
Yeah,
do you want me to?
Yeah.
Well, so what Greg's referring to, what makes Bolinas Lagoon really interesting is most coastal wetlands are a battle between how fast the tides are rising, how fast sea level is rising, and how much sediment is coming in to help those wetlands keep pace with sea level rise. Bolinas Lagoon is a little different in that, like Greg said, 30,000 years ago, when a ton of the ocean water was caught up in these polar ice caps, the shoreline was all the way out at the Farallon Islands. So this was actually like a stream valley, full of like willows, and it was a floodplain. And then gradually, as that polar ice cap melted, the tides gradually encroached more and more and started to form these wetlands. But unique about Bolinas is that we've got the San Andreas Fault coming right through here. So right now we're standing on the Pacific Plate, but on the other side of the San Andreas Fault is the North American Plate. And essentially this, particularly Point Reyes, is a chunk of granite that's been kind of floating up. If you kind of if you think about the plates like this, so this is the North American Plate, this is the Pacific Plate, and the San Andreas Fault is a strike-slip fault. So it means that the Pacific Plate is kind of moving north relative to the North American Plate. And the thing that fault does when it moves, it doesn't just move, strike-slip like this, it also can move up and down. It's not a subduction fault. It's nothing like the big faults that drive all the volcanoes and the big tsunamis, earthquakes and tsunamis in the Pacific Northwest, but it does locally subside. And so when Europeans first colonized the area, Bolinas Lagoon was a really big open water embayment. It had a lot of fringing wetlands, but you'll notice that everything around where, what we're looking at is really steep, right? Like Bolinas Lagoon is is flat, but then we've got the hills, we've got Bolinas Ridge, we've got Ridgecrest up there, we've got just a lot of really steep topography. It feels like I'm in the middle of it. And so what happens is periodically when the San Andreas Fault moves, in this area it goes down and it creates Bolinas Lagoon as a deep embayment. So when the Europeans first came here, they saw this big open water embayment. It was really easy to get boats in and out. But that quickly started to change. In the 1906 earthquake, there was a terrific amount of subsidence, estimated 5 feet, that was helping to keep it this open water embayment. But after that 1906 earthquake, there was a lot of clear cutting in the watersheds. A lot of sediment came into the lagoon, and it gradually began to fill up. And that made people alarmed. They're thinking, oh my gosh, we're losing our open water, we're losing our fishing access. The fish are losing habitat. We need to dredge it. We need to, fix this. And folks didn't realize about this geologic history of the lagoon constantly sinking and then filling back up, and sinking and filling back up, sinking and filling back up, all driven by the fault. So some scientists were brought in. They did a tremendous amount of coring. There was a lot of outreach to the local community. There's still a group called the Bolinas Lagoon Advisory Committee that advises the management of the system, that advises both Marin County Parks and the National Park Service. And they learned that, that this is actually a natural process, that Bolinas Lagoon is, when there's a big quake, it subsides, and then gradually it fills up with sediment, and then there's another quake and it subsides again. So it's a very, very dynamic ecosystem. And that dynamism is a lot of what we're doing today with our vegetation management. This island is so valuable because it's a rare kind of flat, gradually sloped area, right? There aren't a lot of areas in Bolinas Lagoon where when sea levels rise, those wetlands can move upslope and sustain themselves. And so this island is really important in that this is a place where those wetlands can move upslope guided by rising sea levels. It's hard for them to do that if there's invasive plants that have essentially locked themselves into place. Places like this island where you have dunes that are constantly moving, shifting in response to wind and storms. The tides, we get big, flood events that bring wrack and other material, up into the low-lying parts of the island. These are all dynamic processes that create habitat for different species of plants. And if they can't access that habitat because it's covered in a coat of ice plant or it's held in place by the European dune grass, then that habitat doesn't exist. And so essentially what everyone is doing today is what we in the environmental world called process-based restoration, where by taking out the plants that are helping to prevent the natural movement of sediment and water, by taking those plants out, you're restoring those natural processes. You're restoring the ability of sand to move around, to create those pockets of fresh sand that those annual plants rely on. You're creating places for a lot of these wetland species are burial tolerant. They spread through their roots. They really don't spread all that much through seeds. The fescue and the upland plants certainly do, but the wetland plants mostly spread through their roots. And so they can tolerate those dunes moving on top of them, and they can tolerate storms dumping large amounts of sediment on top of them. So you guys are playing a super key role in helping this island sustain itself through the disturbance and helping that disturbance create space for the native plants and wildlife to thrive.
Well done.
Thank you. Thank you.
So the seeds of now are the seeds of tomorrow. So that's what we're doing by having the seeds that we're creating the space for. They will change it, because everybody's like, well, what happens when the island disappears because of a sea level rise? Well, it hasn't disappeared for 10,000 years, so it's going to keep going into the future. So that's it. That was a conversation I had earlier. It was like, well, what happens when that happens? Well, we know what happens is that it moves to different places, and that's what these beautiful seeds that we're creating and making space for.
Can I ask a question? Does this island, does it tend to cleanse the lagoon some way or another?
So I guess it depends what you mean by cleansing. So wetland plants play a really critical role in maintaining water quality. They filter out sediment, they filter out pollutants, particularly nitrogen. A lot of pollutants that are very difficult for treatment plants, like wastewater treatment plants. A lot of those compounds that are difficult for the treatment plants to remove are things that wetlands are really good at removing. So the wetlands are really critical to the health of Bolinas Lagoon. And so the island and creating space for those wetlands to thrive is absolutely playing a key role in the health of the lagoon ecosystem.
Great.
And these wetlands are also why, for those of you that had to deal with the construction at the Bolinas Y on Olima Bolinas Road, that project is a climate change adaptation project. So used to be, well, there still are, two parts of Olima Bolinas Road. The lower one, the southern one, is within the range of elevations that we expect to be inundated by rising sea levels within the next 50 to 100 years. And so what Marin County Parks is doing, together with county roads and Caltrans, because of the Highway 1 interchange, is removing that spur of the road, restoring the habitats, creating space for those wetlands to transgress over those upland habitats, and also improving flood resilience by replacing the bridge over the creek where the road goes over the creek. If you've ever been out here during a big storm event, there's a ton of water coming up the hill slopes, there's a ton of water coming down the creeks, and there's really nowhere for it to go. It needs to get to the lagoon, but hi kiddo, mommy's lecturing. What a surprise. So that whole project, which is probably going to go through construction through next summer, is a multi-benefit project. It improves transportation reliability, it reduces flooding of the road, improves safety of the folks using the road, and it restores habitats and helps prepare that whole interchange for sea level rise.
So this was the lowest hanging fruit, and then that's the next one. So that's what we're doing, is we're picking out projects that are going to have high benefit, and that are attainable. So that's it, number one and number two, and you're working on that project. That's awesome. So, all right, well, it's going to take a while. We have a lot of people here. It's going to take a while to get back over. If you need to get back across the island, we can start taking you if you need to get back at any time. I know some people had to leave a little early, and that's all good. It's going to take us a while, so it's good that people cycle out. If you want to get back to, if you want to do a little bit of work, we can just walk right over here, over there, and that's where we were working. So that's the quickest way, is to get over there, and then we can get back to work for a little bit, and we'll clean up. And what was it? Oh yeah, follow me.